Have you ever felt that, that sting applying for a job, feeling like you absolutely nailed it, maybe even overqualified, and then just silence? Your application just vanishes into like the digital void, and you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? It's so frustrating, isn't it? Well, what if the reason isn't actually about you, or not entirely about your qualifications anyway?
Yeah, that's a really important point because what a lot of job seekers are bumping up against now is algorithms.
Hmm.
They're playing a huge role in how companies find and filter people. And there's this fantastic, really eye-opening book that we're using as a springboard today, The Algorithm by Hilke Schellmann.
Algorithm, even the title sounds a bit ominous.
Right.
And the subtitle, wow, how AI decides who gets hired, monitored, promoted, and fired, and why we need to fight back now. It definitely hints at these like hidden forces shaping our careers. It gives me this sort of dark side vibe, like the force in Star Wars powerful can be used for good or maybe not so good.
Mm.
Or even like the One Ring, my precious, seems helpful. But there's this unseen downside, makes you think maybe I should put down the remote and actually figure this stuff out.
Exactly. That feeling that something hidden but powerful is affecting your job search, that's exactly what we want to dig into today. We want to get a handle on how these hiring algorithms actually work, what some of the unexpected problems are, and yeah, what you can do about it. We'll be drawing on Schulman's book, of course, but also touching on ideas from AI and ethics, this concept of correlaciones espurias, spurious correlations, and how algorithms can be influenced, which is discussed in Manipulating Algorithms and Spurious Correlations in Hiring.
Okay, so why the big shift? I mean, why are companies leaning so heavily on these automated systems now? It wasn't always like this, right?
No, it wasn't. A huge part of it is just the sheer volume in the digital age.
Yeah.
It's so easy to apply online now, right? One click, basically.
Yeah, sure.
So companies get flooded, absolutely flooded. And now you've got AI tools like ChatGPT that can generate resumes, cover letters.
Oh, right. Tailored instantly.
Exactly. So HR departments are just overwhelmed. They're frankly desperate for tools to help manage the deluge.
That makes a lot of sense. I can't even imagine sorting through thousands of applications. So how are these algorithms helping them sift through the pile? What are the main tools?
Well, Shellman outlines a few key methods. There's the resume screening software, which is a big one. Then you have online assessments. These can even be AI-powered games sometimes.
Games? Seriously?
Yeah. And one-way video interviews, where you record answers to preset questions. Plus, tools that do background checks scan your online presence. But for this conversation, we're really going to focus on those resume screeners, because that's usually the very first gatekeeper.
And that's where so many people feel like they hit a wall. You spend hours tailoring your resume, you try to put in the right keywords, and then nothing. Crickets. It's so easy to start thinking, is it me? Am I just not good enough?
Absolutely. That feeling is real, and it's tough. But it's crucial to understand these algorithms work based on patterns they find in data. And those patterns, well, they might not be what a human would look for, or even what logically makes sense for the job. To get why, we kind of need to peek under the hood a bit.
Okay, let's do it. How do these things actually think? We're talking large language models, or LLMs, right? How does software read a resume and make sense of it?
Right. LLMs are key here. It starts with something called tokenization, basically breaking down the text into smaller bits or tokens. So if you have Green Future Sustainability Initiative, it gets chopped into maybe Green Future Sustainability Initiative.
Okay, like word blocks. Or even parts of words sometimes.
Exactly. Then comes vectorization. Each token gets turned into a string of numbers, a vector. Think of it like a coordinate or a unique code. This code captures the word's meaning based on how it's used across vast amounts of text the AI learned from.
So words used in similar ways get similar number codes.
Precisely. Sustainability and maybe environmental would have vectors that are mathematically closer than, say, sustainability and stapler.
Okay, I think I follow. So these number codes exist in some kind of meaning space.
Yeah, exactly. It's called the semantic space. Imagine a huge multidimensional map where words with related meanings cluster together. Dog and cat are close. Dog and door are far apart.
That's a great analogy, a meaning map. So the algorithm navigates this map to figure out what my resume is actually talking about.
Essentially, yes. It looks at the vectors, their relationships, the context, and tries to understand your skills and experience relative to what the job description is asking for.
Yeah.
It's pattern matching on a massive scale.
Right. But this sounds very technical, and it brings us to something really important mentioned in AI and ethics, the data, the stuff these algorithms learn from. If that data isn't perfect, That sounds like trouble.
That's the absolute crux of the issue.
Yeah.
Huge issue. These algorithms learn from data. If that data reflects historical biases or imbalances,
Right.
the algorithm learns those biases too. It just sees them as patterns. Shellman's book has some really powerful examples.
Like that Amazon resume screener story? That one sounds pretty bad.
It's a classic example, yeah.
Mm.
They trained their tool on resumes submitted over like a decade. Mostly from men, because that was the reality of their tech workforce then. The algorithm figured out that resumes containing the word women's, even in contexts like women's chess club.
You're kidding? Just for mentioning a
Oh,
club?
yeah. Were less likely to belong to successful past hires, mostly men. So it started penalizing those resumes. They tried to tweak it, remove the bias, but couldn't reliably do it. Had to scrap the whole thing.
Wow, that's incredible. So a totally harmless detail could sink your application because of biased training data.
Exactly. And Shellman also tells Sophie's story. A highly qualified black woman, a veteran, working in tech. She faced rejection after rejection. Her background, while strong, maybe didn't fit the typical pattern the algorithms were trained on. So even though she was qualified, she might have been filtered out before a human even saw her application.
So the algorithm is just reflecting the patterns, good or bad, that were already there in the hiring data it learned from.
Precisely. Correlation in this sense can definitely breed bias.
Okay, this connects to another weird-sounding concept, spurious correlations. What on earth are those?
Yeah, correlaciones espurias, as one source calls them. They're basically statistical flukes, connections that pop up in the data that look significant, but there's no real logical reason for them, no actual cause and effect related to doing the job well.
Okay, give me an example. How weird are we talking?
Oh, pretty weird. John Scott, who investigated these tools for Shellman's book, found some wild ones. One tool apparently favored candidates named Thomas or Elsie.
Thomas or Elsie? What?
Who knows? Statistically, maybe a few successful hires in the training data happen to have those names. Another tool gave points for mentioning Seattle, Syria, or Canada.
Seattle, Syria, Canada. What possible connection could that have to job performance?
None. Logically, none at all.
Oh.
Or hobbies mentioning football, basketball, or biking sometimes got positive scores.
Okay, this is bizarre. So the algorithm just sees Thomas successful hire in the data and thinks, okay, let's look for more Thomases.
Essentially, yes. It's pattern recognition without common sense. And when lots of candidates start having the required skills on their resumes, the algorithms might latch onto these completely random, spurious factors to try and rank people.
So I could be knocked out because my name isn't Elsie, or because I like reading instead of biking. That's kind of terrifying.
It feels incredibly arbitrary, right? And it highlights how you might be rejected for reasons that have absolutely zero to do with your ability to do the job.
It really does. Which makes you wonder, can people game this?
Oh,
If the system relies on weird correlations, can you manipulate it?
that's a really sharp question. And yes, the sources on manipulation definitely suggest that's possible, and it's a concern. These spurious correlations open the door to influence.
How would someone even try to manipulate it? Like put Seattle on their resume, even if they've never been there?
Well, maybe not quite like that, but manipulating the data is one way. If someone intentionally fed the algorithm skewed data, they could theoretically train it to prefer certain irrelevant characteristics,
Yeah.
or even unintentionally, like the Amazon example. But more practically for job seekers, it comes down to keywords again. If you suspect an algorithm favors certain buzzwords, even if they seem kind of tangential.
You might stuff your resume with them just to get past the filter.
Exactly. People might optimize their resume for the algorithm, not necessarily for clarity or accuracy for a human reader. It also relates to how the algorithm is designed, what factors it's told to weigh heavily. And some investigations found algorithms that seem to pick up on problematic keywords as proxies for things like race or visa status, like mentions of Africa or preferences for OPT or H-1B visas. That's deeply concerning.
Wow. So it can be used, maybe even unintentionally, to filter based on protected characteristics, just using proxy words.
That's the risk. Or platforms optimizing for metrics like just getting more applications, which might accidentally amplify patterns related to gender, for example, even if those patterns have nothing to do with job skills.
Okay, this is a lot. It feels kind of overwhelming. So what can people actually do? How do we protect ourselves in this landscape?
It's not hopeless. There are strategies. Let's
Yeah.
go back to Sophie. She actually used online tools herself, tools that try to score your resume against a job description, mimicking how an applicant tracking system, an ATS, might see it.
Oh, interesting. What did she find?
She found her resume, which was great for a human, was only getting like a 40% match score from the machine's perspective.
Only 40%. Wow.
Yeah. And these services often advise aiming higher, like 60% to 80%, by carefully incorporating keywords from the job description. So tailoring becomes even more critical, but for the machine and the human.
So step one is almost like SEO for your resume, using the right keyword for the algorithm.
Kind of, yeah. But Sophie also did something else really smart. She started reaching out directly to recruiters on LinkedIn.
Ah, bypassing the system altogether.
Exactly. Go around the initial AI gatekeeper if you can. Build connections. Network. It's becoming more important than ever. And ironically, as Shellman points out, people are now using AI to fight AI, using tools like ChatGPT to help them write resumes and cover letters optimized for algorithms.
AI versus AI. May the best bot win, I guess.
It's certainly a strange arms race. But the key takeaway, maybe the most empowering one, is realizing that rejection might not be about you. It could be a flawed algorithm, biased data, or just an overly simplistic focus on keywords. Joe Fuller's research, mentioned in the book, confirms companies know good candidates get filtered out.
They know, and they still use them.
Often for efficiency, yeah. These systems can reject candidates with valuable adjacent skills just because they don't perfectly match a bloated job description, or automatically toss applications with resume gaps over 6 months, even for totally valid reasons.
That 6-month gap thing is brutal. So many legitimate reasons for that.
Exactly. So awareness is key. Know these systems are imperfect, potentially biased, and look for ways around them when you can.
Okay, so be aware, tailor smartly for both human and machine, network like crazy, and don't take algorithmic rejection too personally.
That sums it up pretty well. This dark side of algorithms, these spurious correlations, they show that factors seeming really important might just be random noise to the AI.
It really puts Sophie's mission into perspective, trying to detect and dismantle these biases. It's like fighting traditional discrimination was one battle, and now there's this new front against the robots, almost.
It is a new frontier, and it leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? As AI gets woven into everything, hiring, loans, healthcare, you name it, how do we make sure it's fair? How do we stop these digital quirks, these biases and spurious connections from just repeating or even worsening the inequalities we already have? Especially when it affects something as vital as how you earn a living.
That's definitely something to think about. How do we keep technology from building a future that's less fair, not more? A lot to consider.